Some skeptics, while accepting the fact the disciples were not the best candidates to steal Jesus' body, have promoted a similar concept that his body was purposely taken by another individual or group. The other potential thieves at that time included the Jewish religious leaders, Roman government, soldiers, women who visited the tomb, Joseph of Arimathea, Nicodemus, a family member, an unidentified foreigner or citizen of nearby Jerusalem. There are serious problems with each of these suppositions. First, the Jewish religious leaders hated Christ and wanted his body to decay in a permanently sealed grave. The last thing they wished was to offer the appearance of Jesus' bodily resurrection. Moving the body would have been contrary to their desire. If they, for some reason, had taken the body off the cross instead of Joseph of Arimathea, then they would have surely produced it instantly when the resurrection claims of Jesus' followers began to ring loud and clear throughout Jerusalem a few days after his last reported appearance. Even if his body was partially decomposed, the Pharisees still would have had major motivation to show it off, either inside or outside of the tomb, since it would have turned off many who were previously excited by the concept of Jesus' bodily resurrection. It is worth repeating the fact that nowhere in the Talmud, nor in the records of early critics like Celsus, the staunch opponent of Christianity, we find mention of Jesus' body being displayed. If the decomposing body of Christ had been shown at all, then Celsus and other Jewish writers would have surely used it as evidence against the advancing Christian faith. The Roman authorities wanted peace. To move the body would have caused only strife. Like the Jewish religious leaders, they would have publicly displayed Jesus' dead body at the first sign of disorder. The 16 Roman soldiers had perhaps the best chance to steal Jesus' body, but had no motivation whatsoever to do so, especially since it would have meant death when they were caught. The temporary pleasure received from such a prank would have not been worth the fatal risk. The women who worship Christ cannot even move the massive stone sealing the tomb entrance, according to Mark 16:1-3. As Dr. T.J. Thornburn remarked concerning the stone, it usually requires several men to remove it. Besides being unable to remove the stone, it is highly doubtful these women were capable of killing the Roman soldiers, so they could not have stolen his body. Someone else, such as common citizens, foreigners, or family members, would have had to kill the Roman guards, roll back the stone, steal the body, and escape all authorities. Breaking the Roman seal on the tomb would have likely meant death. No one would have risked their life to do this. Even if they had, a resurrection story without a living body would have convinced very few, if any, to voluntarily suffer and die for the cause of Christ. Only an actual bodily resurrection could have inspired Jesus to press followers to suffer and sacrifice their lives for him. Neither an empty tomb nor a decaying body would have done the trick. It was not the empty tomb, but rather the repeated physical appearances of Christ which transformed them. As John 20:10 reports, immediately after Peter and John personally visited the tomb, the disciples went away again into their own home. This exceptionally odd response to the news Jesus' tomb was vacant demonstrates the empty tomb was not enough evidence for the disciples. Their belief and gospel preaching efforts absolutely must have been inspired by physical proof of Jesus' continued existence. Thousands of Jews, including a great company of priests, would not have been persuaded to suffer greatly based upon an apostolic lie regarding the supposedly risen Christ. This theory also fails to explain the complete transformation that convinced skeptics like James, Jude, Peter, Thomas, and Paul. Since the stolen body theory was the official story of the ancient Jewish religious leaders and Romans, the only explanations for the empty tomb which legitimately deserve our attention are the claims of early Christians that Jesus rose bodily from the grave by divine power, and the sole opposing theory that the disciples stole his body. Yet we have seen in the previous session, the opposing theory has many holes, so the alternative best supported by the available evidence is the one declared by the early church to the point of death.